everybody, my name is Brittany. Welcome to Spare Time at Home. This is a 30-minute practice called Yin Yoga for healthy hips. Go ahead and grab your yoga mat and come join me. Hi everybody, welcome to Yin Yoga for healthy hips. For today's practice, you will need a yoga mat, a towel to work into a small bolster, and a yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block, no worries. You can also grab a pillow on the couch or create another towel roll for a bolster. All right, so we're gonna get started in a posture called butterfly pose. So I wanna encourage you to sit up on your small bolster. So you want your hips a little bit higher than your knees. And you're gonna work the inner feet together. So knees wide. Okay, so we're not forcing anything in this specific style of practice. Well, really in any yoga practice, we're not forcing anything. But Yin Yoga is very passive stretching. So you want to get as much support as you can and also grab your second bolster or your yoga block and place it right in front of your feet. You're just gonna take a couple breaths here, sitting up nice and tall, feeling that nice external rotation of the thighs. And what I mean by that, the thighs are moving back and down. Good, and you're feeling just a nice spaciousness into the inner pelvis and an elongation of the spine. Take a couple breaths into the space, right? A lot of times the hips, we hold a lot of tension there, as well as there's a lot of big muscle groups, right? So we want to ease into these postures. In Yin Yoga, we hold each posture for about 2 to 5 minutes, so a little bit of extra time. So you want to give ourselves space to ease into it. And you're more than welcome to stay upright. And when you're ready, as you're ready, you can begin to lean forward. I like to start with my forearms on a block, just nice interlace the hands. And begin to settle into it a bit. So don't worry too much about the spine being an extension. In fact, move it more into flexion, rounding a bit, dropping the chin down towards the chest. Think of in this specific modality or style of yoga that less is more, less effort. Using the resource of gravity, your props, and your breath to begin to facilitate the opening of the connective tissues in your body. And as you begin to warm up, you might bring your block down a little bit lower. It's up to you. Just listening to the intelligence of your body as you settle into this first hip opener. Breathe into the space, the low ribs, about where the kidneys are located. And as you begin to warm up more, you might begin to work your way down. So we're starting, right, each posture at about 30% effort, and then we're working as the tissues unravel. Okay, you can stack the fist, take the elbows wide. We're going to be here for about another minute. If you need to return back to the block as a prop or your second bolster, you're more than welcome. Tune in a little deeper inside of yourself, becoming the witness, the observer of your own breath. And taking 5 more full breaths, just like that. Just following the inhale and the exhale. Make any minor adjustments, go ahead and do so, and then just give yourself permission to recommit. Come back in, last 2 breaths. palms under the shoulders. Slowly roll up. Slow and steady wins the race of this practice. Nice and easy, no rush at all. Pause at the top of the inhale. Soften the shoulders down. Give yourself a little assist, scooping under the legs and guiding them. Okay, so I'm going to turn sideways. I'm going to move into the hamstrings next, so the backs of the thighs. We're going to come into caterpillar pose. So extend the legs forward. And I encourage you to sit up on the blanket. It just gives you a nice lift of the hips so you're not putting too much into your low back. And you can have a block nearby if you prefer. In fact, you can stack it on your shins. Inhale, reach your arms up. And then exhale, round the spine. Right, start to bring the forehead down onto the block. Just resting your arms along the side. So not striving to deepen or not striving to grab or grasp the feet, but just seeing where the body lands. And within that support, re-establish a steady, purposeful breath. Okay, we're going to be here for about 2 to 3 minutes. Sounds like a bit of time, but it does actually go by pretty quickly. As the body settles in, you might prop along the side. And relaxing the feet, the ankles, the toes, all the joints of the body. This specific style of yoga primarily works on the connective tissues of the body. It's like the fascia, the tendons, the ligaments, the bones. Really great practice for injury prevention. Do a lot of running or bicycling or really any athletic activity. So it's also very restorative for the body and the mind. Let's take 8 more full breath cycles into this shape. Begins to wander, just gently coax it back to the sound and the sensation of your breathing. Last 4 cycles of breath. Shoulders, chin to the chest, rolling up 1 vertebra at a time, walking the hands back, and stacking ears over shoulders last. All right, so now that we're all warmed up, we're going to jump right into the posture, one of my favorite postures in Yin Yoga, called Dragon Pose. So we're going to start in tabletop. All your props within reaching distance. You're going to step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Now from here, take your back toes. You're going to tuck and reach so the knee is landing behind the hip. Now from here, especially if your knees are feeling a little tender, you have this beautiful prop to bring under your knee. Okay. And then you have your block or your second bolster in front of you. So hands are to the inside of the right foot. Back toes can be tucked or untucked. It's up to you. Just take a couple breaths here. So it can feel a bit intense. So sometimes we need to kind of meet ourselves where we are and ease into it. Okay, so you can kind of back out, settle back in. And when you're ready, you're more than welcome to stay upright like so. Bring the block right under your forearms. Softening the front of the pelvis down towards the mat. Notice if you're gritting your teeth or hiking your shoulders up to your ears, can you soften all those spaces, soften around the edges. Find the body is starting to, the hips are starting to warm up. You can take your block down another notch if it's available to you. If not, no worries. The chin fall towards the chest. Begin to breathe into the spine. Let's take 6 more breath cycles together. So a breath cycle in yoga, more or less, is about a 3 count in and a 3 count out. Right, so that's 1 cycle. Let's do 5 more like that. Final 3, the biggest breaths of the day. All right, really take your time getting out of that one. In fact, we're going to move into a half splits variation. So we're going to start to shift the hips back. It's nice and easy. Strike the heel down so hands still stay into the inside of the leg. And again, you can bring the block and lift your chest up. Right, if you want, you can bring your hands to the floor, work towards flat palms, maybe start to fold it a little deeper. We're just going to be here for about 3 breaths. Just a little counter pose. Notice my hips swinging out, so I'm going to try to encourage. There we go. Pelvis back to neutral. All right, let's shift it forward. And no right way to exit this pose. Your way, the way that makes sense to you. So I'm just going to come right back to table. I'm going to keep the bolster under my knees. Okay, so let's come right into it, other side. So left foot steps outside of left hand. Into dragon pose. I like to tuck and reach a bit there. Good. And then a couple breaths, fingertips, flat palms, toes can be tucked or untucked. You feel a bit of the chest reaching forward through the upper arm bones, the front of the belly softening down. And you're more than welcome to stay here, even here. Right? When you're ready, as you're ready, might begin to shift a little bit deeper, forearms onto the block or bolster, hands together. Take a few breaths. And if you need to kind of work into it the first minute or so, just meet yourself where you are, ease into it. Bring your chin down towards your chest. And begin to round a bit through the upper back. Breathing deeply into the space between the shoulder blades. Remembering your yogic breath. 3 count breath in. 3 count breath out. Through the nose. Let's take 6 more like that. Move a little deeper, block to another level. best to be with the sensations that come up for you in this pose. To make any adjustments, you can do so, just recommitting back into the shape. Last 4 breaths. Softening the tips of the shoulder blades down the back of the body. Final breath here. Easy, moving like you're flowing through molasses there, nice and slow, slow. Shifting back, keep the block with you. Strike the heel down. Keep the patting on the knee. Good. And then you can bring your hands on here if you prefer on your block, your prop. Set it along the side. It's available to you, starting to fold into it a little deeper. Just be here about 3 breaths. Last full breath. All right, come out, shift it forward, crawl forward. Heel toe, come right back. Okay. Right. So, next posture is swan pose, and I'll give a modification, as this could be a little weight bearing on the knee and the hip joint. So again, have your props nearby, especially this guy. This could be really a great service to neutralize the pelvis. So you're gonna come into table. We're actually gonna meet in downward facing dog. So we'll find a couple breaths. You can, in fact, it'd be kind of nice, right, to move a little bit of energy around. So you can swivel, sway the hips, might get some good adjustments there. Creaks and cracks as things are settling in. If you prefer, instead of downward dog, you can be in tabletop, doing some cow and cats. You can be in child's pose right now. Just any kind of counter movement that feels best into the hips, legs, and low spine. All right, so from downward dog, and you can access this as well through table pose, we're gonna come into swan. Right knee, right pinky. Okay, so right knee, right pinky. You're gonna tuck the back toes, you're gonna reach and scooch back. Okay, if you prefer, you can come onto your back into figure 4. Now you're gonna take this bolster and you're gonna lift the hips up a bit, and you're gonna weave it all the way through, like it's gonna come out all the way to the other end. So it's actually gonna be supporting the front of your left thigh as well as the sitting bone, okay? And you can have a block here and just find your way, right? This can be a bit deep. Make sure it doesn't feel crummy on the low back. If it does, just, create a little bit of a higher bolster or come onto your back in figure 4. You're more than welcome to stay upright, or again, you can begin to lower down, surrendering in. Arms on the block, chin to the chest. And a little bit more, you can step the block forward, you can come all the way onto the forearms. I like to bring my elbows a bit wide and stack the fists, and just bringing the space between the eyebrows to the fist. That way with the elbows wide, you're softening the upper trapezius away from the ears. Unhinging any tension you're holding into the face, neck, or jaw. About 6 more breaths. Focus the mind and the awareness not only on the sensation of the pose, but on your own breathing. Last 2 breaths. And palms under shoulders, coming all the way up, pause. Tuck your toes. I like to bring the knee a little bit closer to my hips. And stepping right back, downward dog. Or however you'd like to transition out of that. Doesn't have to be that way. If you want to come to table pose, or if you're on your back, you can start to unravel that figure 4 stretch and hug both knees into the chest, rocking side to side. All right, let's move right into the left side, swan pose. So left knee, left pinky. You have the bolster already in great alignment there. So now it's supporting your left sitting bone. And you see a little bit better on this side, the front hip. Okay. You can even bring this a little higher if you have a kind of more of a beach blanket. It can give you a little more support as well. You have a block nearby. You can be upright. If you prefer to be on your back, crossing over, left ankle over right thigh, figure 4 for modification. Into the depth. Chin to the chest. Relaxing the neck, jaw. Maybe even removing the prop completely, stacking the fist, elbows wide. More deep embodied breaths. Breath, begin to transition. Nice and easy. Tuck the back toes, slide the knee up towards the bolster towel. Pull through the low belly, transition downward facing dog. So either downward dog, little pedal here. If you want to come into ragdoll, you can crawl back, bend the knees, grab opposite elbows. Or any other variation, any other counter pose that your body is calling for. If you're on your back, again, maybe a happy baby, or simply hugging the knees into your chest. And let's take 2 more breaths wherever you are, whatever shape you're in. All right, so we're gonna make our way all the way onto our backs if you're not there already. And you're going to have your bolster right next to your knees. Over here. All right. I'm just going to come into a bit of a twist, posture called twisted root pose. It's really nice to open up the low back, the QL. Okay. And if it's too strong, you're more than welcome just to take a simple twist, like with your knees together and then side to side like so. Okay, so you're going to open the arms wide. You're going to cross your right ankle over your left, so like 2 twisted roots coming together. Good. And then from there, you might shift your hips a little to the right and begin to twist over to the left. And again, if that's too strong, especially in your lumbar spine, you can just unravel the twist and pin the inner knees together. And I'm looking over your right thumb. Let's take 3 breaths on each side. You're more than welcome to stay longer. more engagement. Bring it back to center line. Unravel. Other side, left leg on top like a twisted root. And a little shift of the hips to the left as you twist over to the right side. Looking towards your left thumb. 3 big generous breaths for yourself here. Shifting back, unravels, do a final squeeze, knees to chest. Simply rock side to side, massaging out the low back, upper hips and sacrum. If you want, you can bring your nose to your knees. And just a full breath in. And full breath out brings you into final resting pose. So I'm going to take this bolster and bring it under the knees so it's nice support for the lumbar spine. I'm going to come into Yin style Shavasana, which means you want to almost create like a human starfish phenomenon. So take your legs wide, your arms open wide. Roll the toes away from one another, relaxing into the sockets of the hips, the pelvis, allowing the sacrum right below back to root in, drop deep into the earth. Fingers gently curling into the center of the palms. Belly soft, and the breath is fluid. Say that Shavasana is the most challenging of all the yoga poses. It requires us to really cultivate that inner stillness, a bit of surrender, and the ability to open to what is possible. We'll be here for another minute together. To transition your palms to the front of your hips, where the upper thighs, where the bones are there. Just take 3 deep breaths all the way down into the palms of your hands, breathing deep into the pelvis and the pelvic floor. Slowly, mindfully bending the knees. You might even place your feet on the bolster. Shift the hips to the left and roll off to the right, fetal pose. Just for a breath in. And a breath out. As you're ready, when you're ready, guiding the body up to a comfortable seat. And sink up onto the bolster. And bringing your hands together at your heart, Anjali Mudra. Thank you all so much for joining me today in Yin Yoga for Healthy Hips. Namaste.